Hi guys, this is Alexander from Solar Leather Machines. Wanted to talk to you today about doing a timing check on your COWBOY CB3200. Sometimes the question will arise, is my machine in time? I'm having some problems stitching, or I just had a snarl in my bottom end. I want to make sure that the machine is in time. Well, the COWBOY CB3200 operates very similar to our COWBOY CB4500, but the timing check is slightly different. So we're going to cover that today. Today we've got a brand new CB3200. It's going to stand in for our test model. And what we're going to do here, first things first, is we want to make sure that the machine is off. Nothing worse than working on the machine and catching a needle in the hand. And second, we want to make sure that the foot is up, just like that, okay? And then once you follow my hands here, what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure that this lever is screwed all the way out and all the way down. You want it just like that, okay? All the way out, all the way down, okay? Now, what we want to do is take this plate off. Now, you don't have to have this plate off, that's for sure, to do a basic timing check. But just for simplicity's sake today, we're going to go ahead and do that so you can see what's going on behind the curtain, so to speak. All right, so we're going to take the plate off. We're going to raise the needle up. The needle does need to be in the machine to do the timing check. And we're going to put the plate and the screws off to the side. Now those screws, by the way, are a special thread and a special size. You can't buy them in regular stores or even online. You have to give us a holler because it's a unique thread. Don't blame us for that. The Singer Sewing Company started that 100 years ago. So, all right, so here is the basic mechanics of the machine. All right, you see the needle going up and down. All right, so what we want to do now at this point, when we're really going to check the timing, we need to be precise about it with the 32, is we have to take this cover off. So back out and you'll see me take this cover off. Now these little screws have a tendency of falling out, so we're going to watch them carefully. I'm going to take this cover and we're going to put it somewhere safe. I'm a big fan of magnetic trays for that reason. Okay, so now that we've got the cover off, let me adjust the light. One of the things we're going to do now is we're going to position the machine in a very particular orientation so that we can measure stuff. And I want you to look in here, inside the mechanics of the machine. And what we want to do is we're looking for this shape right here. You see that little circle? Okay. What we want to do is position that so that it is right there. So it makes a half moon shape behind the needle rod. Okay. That is the correct position. That's the exact position that you want to check this in. Do you need to have the cover off to do this? No. If you know your machine, you know whereabouts that needle is when it's in this position, that's fine. But if you're doing this for the first time, you should probably take the cover off to check the timing, just like that. Okay? Now, with that being in that position, let's go down here and have a look. Now remember, the machine is all the way down, okay? And what we want to do is reach in, your hook is still in, and see how that hook can float a little, okay? We want to make sure that that hook isn't floating, okay? And we're going to move that wheel just a hair more. There we go. And what we want to do is rotate that hook counterclockwise. Take all the slack out of it. See how there's slack? Now look down here, right there, from this angle. You see there's a little point right there, okay? We can just see that point moving in and out. Let's move that light. There we go. Okay. Right there. And that point is the tip of the hook. And what we want to do is move it as far backwards as we can, okay? And so we're going to reach in with our fingers and kind of counter-rotate it there, okay? Just like that. At this point in time, we're going to reach over to this lever over here, and we're going to push it all the way up, like that. Right, then we're going to go back to this hook area, okay? And this time I want you to get a little bit more level view here. Okay, and can you still see that same hook area? You see the relation of the needle. So it's about 1/4 of an inch away from this edge right here. And let me use a finer pointer. So there's this little window cutout right here, and it goes around. It's a square cutout, and the point is sticking out into that window about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little less. And then you have the needle over here. In a perfect world, that hook bisects the space between the needle right here and the edge of the window, and that's about right there. Okay, now understand that this does have some tolerance. You can be a millimeter either way with the position of this needle, and the hook could probably be a millimeter either way in its position and still work just fine. But this is where you need to be when the machine is in reverse. Okay, so far that is good timing. Now the next step you need to check is come over to the knob again. You're going to put the knob down, and we're going to go back to the needle. Okay, now with the needle in the forward position, what we want to do is reach up with our hand to the hand wheel and rotate the machine slowly. And what we want to do is put the tip of this needle here right behind the center line of the actual needle. And you know, it's going to take you going a little bit back and forth. Put that tip of that hook center line of that needle. Okay, and when you do that, what should happen is the eye of the needle should be about 1/16 of an inch inside the ring, this race ring here. Okay, so this surface right here, this circular surface to the top of the eye of the needle should be about 1/16 of an inch or so. Again, there's some tolerance there. You can deal with a little bit of tolerance, but this is pretty close to zero time, as they call it. And that's so far this looks like this machine's in pretty good time. Okay, so if your machine looks like this, then your timing is not a problem. If it's close to this, then your timing is still probably not your issue. If it's further away than you think is normal, then you might have the issue. Now here's what I'll tell you. If you adjust your timing on a brand new machine, you might very well void the warranty. Adjusting time by an untrained individual will certainly void your warranty in most instances for most dealers. But having said that, sometimes when you're 800 miles away and you need a little bit of help over the phone, sometimes it just helps when you've got photos to do this. So this is how to do a basic timing check, and from here you'll simply do reassembly. So let me show you the reassembly on this. Let's back out. We're going to raise our needle here. We're going to put our needle plate back in. Now again, if you know what you're looking for, the needle plate doesn't really have to come off, but for the sake of the camera today, we did take it off for clarity. Again, you need to do that a couple of times so you know exactly what it is you're looking at. When you go to screw these screws back in, do not gorilla tighten them. Okay, they need to be snug, but they don't have to be gorilla tight. You're not doing anybody any favors by doing that. We're using a right angle screwdriver here, commonly available on Amazon for about $8. We have several of these floating around the shop. They're super useful. All right, so that needle plate is back in. Okay, so the last thing you have to do is put the cover back on. So grab our cover. All right, the only real tricky part about putting the cover on is this little piece right here. It's a fork, and it needs to go on this stud right here. So what you're going to do is guide it onto that stud, just like that, and then you're going to line the cover up to the bolt holes. If you put a little pressure on the top of the fastener, you'll feel it kind of pop into place. There we go. And then you can just screw it in. Now don't screw them all the way down the first time. You still need to move it around to get the bottom one in place. Okay, now you can tighten it up. Now again, does not need to be gorilla tight, okay? So that's in place. And if you've done this correctly, whenever you raise and drop the feet, that little piece moves. All right, so that's it. You're all set. You're back to sewing. You got to rethread the machine and off you go. That's your basic timing check. If you have any questions about this, call us up. I'm Alexander. This is Solar Leather. Our website is www.solar-leather.com. Our phone number is 817-422-9151. Thanks a lot for your time. We'll talk to you soon.